Energy and New Moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina, Regina George of Witches, and you're aligned with the frequency of the Luanova podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to have some fun again. It's time to have some more fun. Like I said, we focus on fun over here. I can't speak for other podcasts and what's going on in the rest of social media, but like I said, I've told you how to tune all that out if you can, how to remove all of that and also still stay informed. And over in Luanova, yes, we're going to talk about serious topics, but for the most part, we are focusing on having a happy and peaceful life. So what I need you to do, and if you can't find this on whatever type of phone that you use, then go to YouTube and look up this information. What I need you to do though, on your phone first, if you can, go to your app store. Oh, and I'm sorry, one sec. Sorry about that. You all know how this goes. Every single time that I'm about to record, all of a sudden everything starts going off. So I had to make sure that everything was good to go, which I should have done before I hit record. So what I need you to do, as I was saying, is go to your app store and look up fake phone call. Okay? And I know that this is an option on iPhones, so I imagine it's not going to be any different for an Android. And if you can't find what you're looking for, meaning maybe the app has too many ads, stuff like that, then what I need you to do is go to YouTube and look up fake phone call. Look up that type of scenario. You're looking for sound effects, okay? Obviously, in podcasting, we're constantly using sound effects. So that's what you're going to need for today's episode. That's your supplies. Now, I recommend for the ladies that this is an app that you keep on your phone. I actually still have one all these years later. Years ago, I downloaded a fake phone call app, and I would use it when I would take Hoshi outside. At one point, one of the townhouses I lived in, it was near a freeway. And so when you would take your dogs, because I wasn't the only one who would do this, obviously creeps could see that you right there by the access road, and although I always keep that thing on me, I also, understood that sometimes you just want to avoid people. I am an introvert, true to heart introvert. And so I would have this app on my phone that I would use, and it actually rings. You can set it to ring, and it looks like a real phone call. And I originally downloaded this for safety purposes, to get out of scenarios, or, if you've ever been in a store and they're trying to sell you something, it's perfect for things like that. When, let's say you see them coming down the aisle, you pull out this app, hurry up. I want it to ring right now. Boom, it's ringing. Sorry, I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? So it works. It really does. Now, I'm very mean, so I've never really had this issue with telling a man to, how long have I been recording? Let's see if I can curse yet. Not yet. Telling a man to get the F out my face. I've never had an issue with doing that. By the way, brand new podcasters and people who are brand new to my show, the reason why in the beginning of a podcast you don't want to curse is for advertising purposes, okay? Because for whatever reason, advertisers seem to think that the people who listen to podcasts are children. They are not. The average listener to podcasts are adults, okay? At least in their 20s. So I don't know why they act like nobody curses, but nobody over here is Christian or a Bible thumper. And although I don't curse very often, I do curse. So I'll be honest with you, I do hate that. But if you are new to podcasting, that's just to kind of give you a tip. Be careful of how much you curse and when you're cursing in your show. All right. But, look at me getting off track, but I just wanted to give you that tip. I don't have a problem telling a man to get out my face. I don't. This is, even before I met Eric, I've always been this way. I had to be. If you're a survivor of trauma, it can make you a very mean person. Like I can be. So ladies, still have this and gentlemen too, have this. Maybe there's somebody you don't want to talk to and you need a reason to get out of talking to them. Have one of these apps ready to go. All right. I recommend one where you can set a timer, because then, 10 seconds later, your phone's ringing. Maybe that person starts a unnecessary conversation with you at work. Oh, my phone's ringing. I gotta go. But we're actually going to use this for a completely different reason today. We're going to use it to manifest, because I'm going to show you something that I used to do. I haven't done this in a long time, but it works. And the reason you already know this. The reason I haven't done this is, unfortunately, Hoshi passed away in January. So I don't really have a need for this app anymore, but I refuse to delete it in the event that I ever want to do this method with you. Now, I don't know what to call it. I don't actually have a name for this method. We're going to call this the don't hang up method. Okay. And it made me think of, what is it? The ghost face mask. Have you ever seen the merch that has ghost face on it and it all says don't hang up or, you hang up first? That's kind of what I was picturing, is ghost face on the phone calling you. Okay. I just made this very book talk. And if you don't know what book talk is, I'll explain later, but let's get into it, New Moon. So while you are getting those apps downloaded on your phone, or you're on YouTube and you're looking up exactly what I need you to look up a phone ringing if you're on YouTube. Okay. Now you're ready. So 1 second, get those apps ready.
Lua Nova Codes of Manifestation. Códigos de manifestação Lua Nova.
Code 119. Ask yourself, would you post this on your vision board? If the answer is no, don't settle. Now, when it comes to brands, especially those of you who do any kind of influencing, maybe you're an influencer on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, Snapchat, maybe you also are a podcaster. Don't just say brands just because. Not unless it's a brand that you really love and you know that at some point you're going to work with. Manifest that you're going to work with that brand. And those brands for me are Hello Kitty. Yes, I know she's under Sanrio before somebody tries to correct me. Hello Kitty, Saratoga, and Red Bull. Those are brands that you know I love. Now, there's brands that I collect, but I don't necessarily love them as a brand, like Louis Vuitton. I've been collecting Louis Vuitton for years, but so what? But I don't, they don't have my heart or anything like that. However, Hello Kitty, Saratoga, and Red Bull, they have my heart. Shout out to Red Bull again, because they did actually send me free Red Bull. So I appreciate that. But when it comes to apps, it is a very rare occurrence that I'm going to tell you what app to download. And so it's no different with this one, because a lot of these apps have tons of ads, or they want you to buy something. And I did at some point a long time ago have to purchase this app. Therefore, I'm not going to recommend it because of that, because I want whatever it is you're doing to be free. You all know that when it comes to the podcast part of Lua Nova, that part's free. So we're going to keep it that way. So download whatever app you want to make your fake phone call. There's a ton of them out there. I'm sure there's maybe even some that are better than this one. So within the next 5 seconds, my phone's going to ring. And, well, it's supposed to. There it is. And so when I answer it, just like you would an actual phone call, I'm going to put this up to the mic so you can hear it. You can hear people in the background talking. So it's like a real phone call. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have a conversation. And you're going to start talking about whatever it is that you want to manifest. Because the universe is calling. That's actually what I have mine saved to. So it even lets you create like a fake contact that's calling. So mine says the universe. So when I answer, it's because the universe is calling. So how I would go about this, and this is before Lua Nova really was a thing. I would pick up the phone for this phone call, and I would say, yes, absolutely. I can do a tarot reading with you. Next Tuesday at 3? Absolutely. Sure. How did you want to pay for that? Cash App? You're going to Cash App me? Sure. Yeah, it's $200. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. And where did you hear about me from? Oh, you got my card? I love that. All right. Awesome. Did you like the free Evil Eye bracelet? Cool. Well, I'll talk to you next Tuesday then. And that is how that would go. And then I started thinking bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, insert whatever celebrity wants a tarot reading with me? Absolutely. Sure. I mean, when do they want to do this? Yeah. I would love that. They want to book me for a month? They want to continue to have calls with me? They want me to be their tarot reader? Yeah, I can do that. This network wants me to sign my podcast with them? Well, tell them I'm sorry. I own my podcast and it's going to stay that way, but I appreciate, they want to offer me how much? Huh. Well, then that's how much advertisers should be paying me. Cool. Okay. Wait, you want to be my agent? This is what I mean. Make up a fake script for yourself. I'm not going to give you one, because I want you to have fun with this. I want you to do this yourself. I think that you are capable. Many of you are extremely creative. And I think that, especially when I said theater kids, I think that you'll enjoy the last episode and this one. This is what I was referring to. You get to get in your acting bag, because a lot of the time that's how you manifest quickly. Okay, because you've got to put yourself in that scenario. Remember, everything has a frequency. So if you want to be within the frequency of a lot of money, well, you need to talk like you have a lot of money. You need to put yourself in that frequency, because if there is a version of you that you can see in your mind that's already a millionaire, that version of you exists already. So how do you match that frequency? Have you heard a ton of people say, you got to match the frequency? You got to match the frequency, but then they never tell you how to do it. Oh, I manifested 20,000 overnight because I matched the frequency, but they never tell you how to do it. What they don't tell you is that it's a consistent pattern. It's not you did it one time and then 20,000 showed up in your account. What it means is that you were grateful every single day. You woke up with a grateful heart. You were grateful for your loved ones. You were grateful for what you do have, and that $5 in your bank account, and that you do have food, and that you did make it to work safely, and that you did make it home safely. You were grateful for that person that held the door open for you. That other person was grateful that you held the door open for them. You were grateful when somebody shared some candy with you because you really liked that candy, but you didn't want to ask. You were grateful. Okay? And that's what I'm referring to. You were grateful when you received free Red Bull. Because you were grateful when I told you about Saratoga water and it changed your life, because it really is that good. Right. And they did not pay me to say any of that just now. I'm just saying. But you were grateful. That person was grateful for you because you shared your chips. That person was grateful for you because you made sure that they got to their car safely. Your family member was grateful to hear from you. Your friend that you grew up with that you haven't talked to in a while was grateful that you said, hey, how are you? That's raising your vibration. That is what it feels like to match the frequency of whatever it is that you want. Yes, money has a frequency. You have a frequency. Everything has a frequency, but that's how you match it. It has to be a continuous effort. It can't be something that you do sometimes. The next day you wake up and you have a shitty attitude about life, and you're terrible to everybody, and you cursed out your girlfriend, and your boss was rude, so you took it out on the poor customer service rep that you had to call. That is lowering your frequency. So how are you matching $20,000? And so that's what, whenever you watch these cute little TikToks, that's what they don't tell you. That's the side they don't tell you. And so whenever you're making these fake phone calls, what are you doing? You're now feeling what it feels like to have whatever it is that you want. You're on the phone with your imaginary husband, and next thing you know, you meet him the next day. That, you know why? Because it made it much easier to match that frequency. And that's really all there is to it. This is one of the shortest lessons I've ever had to teach, because that's all there is. That's the whole technique right there. Have fun with it. Tell me what you came up with. Like I said, whenever I would take Hoshi out, I started doing this all the time. And it became so easy for me to do. And it was just like clockwork. And the next thing you know, Lua Nova actually launched. Because now I felt confident. Like, if I can talk to somebody that's not actually on this phone, then I can talk to thousands of people that listen to this show every week. Absolutely. From all over the world. Absolutely, I can. So what would be the difference? Well, there you go. That's it. That's all there is to that lesson, guys. There was not, I don't know. What did we call it? The don't hang up method? That's what we're going to call it. The don't hang up method. And that is going to close out the Halloween section of this season of Lua Nova. And the reason I brought up Ghostface was because, again, I always thought of like when he's on the phone with Sydney, etc. I haven't seen Scream in forever, but I know the basis of it. And Book Talk. If you're not familiar with Book Talk, get familiar with Book Talk, especially if you want a girl to like you. So I'm talking to my single new moons right now that are that like women. So go get the Scream mask. Go get it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Just go get it. And when you get to know her really well, chase her around the house. Consensually. Please. Always with consent. But look up Book Talk. Have fun. Don't say I didn't give you a great recommendation for that. Ladies who understand what book talk is, yes, I am a witch who enjoys book talk. That is not shocking at all, is it? So, the next thing that I want to talk to you about, why don't I have my docket in front of me? One sec. So the next thing that I want to talk to you all about is something that Alyssa, who is located in Tucson, and Renee, located in Texas, wanted me to talk to you about. And I'm not too familiar. I briefly heard what it is that they were talking about just yesterday, but it's regarding a pastor. One of many pastors that was essentially forcing their congregation to tithe. If you are not familiar with the Christian faith, and I'm sure many others, there is something called tithing, which many Christians claim is in the Bible. It is somewhat in the Bible, but not in the way that many Christians have been told that it is. So tithing, and for whatever reason, it tends to be 10%. I'm not going to get into that. This is not a religion podcast, so I'm going to be, kind of going briefly over the details. Tithing in the Christian faith and many other similar religions is about giving money. And so this particular pastor was reprimanding one of the people of his congregation because I believe she didn't give him as much money as he wanted. I know it was over $1,000 that she was already giving. And so I was asked by these two listeners, and there's some more, but those are the two that are right in front of me right now. I think, Noelle, I think this was also your question, but you were asking me as somebody who's not religious to talk about tithing in the spiritual sense, and also how I feel about when religions force this. Well, religions force you to be under control. And I'm sorry, Noelle, actually you were asking about the ancestor thing that was brought up on another podcast. And I don't know too much about it, but I kind of get the gist of it. So I'll get to that in a second, Noelle. But essentially, you are tithing with your time, giving an offering to your altar. That is tithing. So for instance, the other day I was like, I want to leave something out for Hoshi, but I'm a very clean person, so I am not somebody who gives food offerings. It's actually extremely rare for me to put out food offerings because I don't want bugs. And so I will give different types of offerings. And so I was like, what can I leave out for Hoshi? Because I can't leave out food. And honestly, I'm still thinking about this, but that is the same thing as tithing. Your time is also tithing. So if I'm talking to Santissima and I'm just, saying I'm grateful for your protection, I appreciate you. And yes, I do oftentimes, give things to her or give my time to her, let her know that I appreciate her. That is also tithing. And so oftentimes in the Christian faith, and not all Christians are the same, okay? I know that I give Christians a lot of hell, but I do understand that they're not all the same. And they can be quite judgmental. And even though they are super judgmental toward people like me, I am not going to return that same energy because a lot of them are asleep and choose to be controlled and choose to not actually think for themselves. And so because you asked for what my opinion on the other side, I would say that I'm glad to not be a part of something that forces me to feel guilty about what I can give, I guess. I probably didn't word that right. But if you can give $1,000, that's a pretty big deal. I don't know of a God that wants your money. I don't, because money is man-made. Money is an energy. So the paper money or, the coins or whatever, that was created by man. So what would any God do with that? And although I don't look at Jesus the same way as a Christian does, I look at Jesus as a deity, yes, but not as a God. I oftentimes think, well, don't you guys know anything about Jesus? I'm very confused because he wasn't someone that would have cared about how much money you gave. Did you all miss that in your Bible? I'm confused. And so you wanted my opinion? That's my opinion, that I find it actually quite sad and depressing how many people just kind of walk around asleep and just believing whatever they're told. And so to answer your question, Noelle, about I think the name of the podcast, I feel like I'm going to get this wrong. Is it called Grits and Eggs? I think so. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the host. I don't want to mess up his name, but I didn't hear all of the clip. I just know what it's about. He essentially was saying that Christianity is kind of keeping people asleep. They don't think for themselves. And he was only referring to Christianity from what I know, but other religions can also be just as oppressive. I'm well aware of this. And I, understand where he was coming from when he talked about, from what I understand, something about honoring your ancestors. And there was a woman, I did see part of her video in response, and she called all of our ancestors demonic. I'm sorry, ma'am, you can speak for yourself, because based on the stupidity that came out your mouth, yes, I imagine that your ancestors are quite demonic and very uneducated, because look at how you turned out. But my ancestors, not so much. And if you are allegedly Christian, then wouldn't you believe that Jesus is your ancestor? So, if Jesus was your ancestor, are you calling Jesus demonic? And are you the same person or the same people that drink the blood of Jesus? What? The body of Christ? Isn't that what I remember from church? I remember that. So I'm very confused as to how you don't understand that that's a ritual that was taken from witches like me, from my ancestors. Yeah. And your ancestors as well, especially if you have a similar background to mine. I'm a proud Afro-Latina, half Afro-Brazilian, and half Mexican. And yes, my ancestors would not have been Christian if we go all the way back. They wouldn't. Christianity was forced on them. And so, thankfully, I'm the one that got away from all of that. Yay. And I don't understand how you could ever be so disrespectful as to disrespect the ancestors. You want to disrespect your ancestors? Go for it. But don't disrespect mine ever. Or I promise you, they will show up. And when they show up, some of them have a very shady past. I can't begin to tell you what that's going to be like for you. So, speak for yourself, ma'am. Don't speak for the rest of us. The rest of us who are honoring our ancestry, that's why we continue to thrive. That is why we are not controlled. That is why we are able to help other people. That is why we are actually at peace with our life, and we don't have to have somebody telling us how we should live, what we should do, and if we don't, we're going to quote unquote burn in hell. We don't believe in hell. There is no hell. Hell is something that you create in your mind. Okay? So, that's my opinions. Noelle and Alyssa, and did I say Jaden? Jaden. So, yeah, there you go. And Jaden and, hold on, Sammy, Omar, and Bianca also asked me about something that I'm about to read to you from a listener. And it's going to be the second listener letter. And I don't know if it's mentioned in this first listener letter, but I'll get there. So, they were asking me about something that they noticed, and something that this listener in the second letter noticed too. So I'll get to that in a second. But this first listener, her name is Kiki, and she is in Florida, and she says, "Hi Josie and the whole Lua Nova team." And I'm sorry, I did skim over these, but if I stumble, it's because I didn't thoroughly read everything. I just listened to the I Heard About You episode as well as the one before it, and I had to write you immediately. I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Josie, I understand your method, and it's tried and true with my, hold on. Sorry guys. Josie, I understand your method, and it's tried and true. I think she's trying to say, I understand your method now, and it is tried and true. And me and my best friend tried it the same night, and it absolutely works. My friend has been obsessing over this exact dress that she wants to wear to a wedding. She's been talking about it for 2 months. Out of nowhere, she was able to get it because it was marked down on clearance. We tried your method, and the very next day, she was able to buy it. It was as if the universe decided that she had to have it. I can't stop smiling because your method was clear, it was grounded, and I actually think it's really doable. Thank you for breaking it down in a way that actually makes sense for all of us. I also want to say my deepest condolences for your loss of Hoshi. I've heard you speak about him on many occasions, and my heart breaks. Losing a pet is your family. And, okay, losing sorry. Losing, I think she means like, is like losing your Okay. That's okay. And I hate, I hate how much pain that this has caused you. Please know that your honesty about your grief made me feel more connected, and it made your message even more human and powerful. I'm sorry. I sent you a little Cash App gift just now, just because I sent you a little Cash App gift just now, just because. It's truly nothing big, but I wanted to show you my appreciation, and I hope that you spend it on something nice this Halloween, maybe a treat, because you are my favorite witch. Let me see if there's anything else. Thank you for all that you do for the new moons. Your voice matters. Now you have taught us that our voice matters. Thank you, Kiki. I have loved your letter. And so something that she touched on was the I heard about you episode. So the eavesdropping method. Now I want to make something clear. I did not come up with that method. Like I said before, I cannot find the YouTube video where I originally heard this. It has been removed, and I thought I had it in a playlist. And because I knew in the future I was going to talk about it, because I talked about it in season 1. I am hoping, and I have never gone back to this, I'm hoping in season 1 I did mention, where I got this from. But I hope it's something that you all do. It does work obviously really well when you do this with another person. So you can say, hey, I need to talk to you. I heard about you. And then jump into, whatever. And then they can do the same for you. And yeah, it does work, because it's essentially putting you in the mindset of what it is that you're wanting. So, hey, I heard about you. I heard that you met this really great guy. Hey, I heard about you. I heard that you just bought a brand new Ferrari and it's red. So you get what I mean? Make it fun. It is during these times where we have no choice but to literally filter out the nonsense. It is so important to find the fun when you can. Buy the Hello Kitty stuff. Buy the snacks. Watch the Halloween movies. I recommend The Love Witch. That's one of my favorite movies. Of course it is. I recommend The Craft. Yeah, I'm purposely going to mention the witchy movies because that's what I want you to watch. I recommend all of that. Okay. I recommend, let's just leave it at that. I couldn't think of anything else. I recommend watching Scream. Why not? Watch Scream. But I say all of that to say that a lot of us are experiencing a lot. And that was a lot of nothing I just said. We're experiencing having to filter out a lot of nonsense around us, right? So when you can, incorporate the fun, because that's how you stay at a high frequency. That's how you continue to manifest. All right. So let's get to the second letter. Let's see. And now I'll get to your reading. I promise. And after your reading, I want you to stick by, because I have a very important question for you that is based on something that is coming up. Okay. For you. Made for you. Letter number 2. She is located in Iowa. And, he is located in Iowa. This is Marcus in Iowa. And he said, "Hey, Josie. Hey, Lua Nova team. Josie, how are you holding up? How are you feeling? I have to ask you something that has been on my mind since your last few episodes. I'm not related to Celeste Rivas Hernandez, but I could tell you were getting very real spiritual downloads. And that the information felt sincere. Is there anything that you can share about this? I would be incredibly grateful. I appreciate how you carry this topic with care and restraint, because many so-called tarot readers and psychics have immediately began to overshare just for attention and clout. You never do that, and that is why you have my complete trust. Your integrity has shined through in many episodes, and listening to you feels like I'm sitting with a friend who's going to tell me the truth, even if it's actually uncomfortable. Thank you for balancing boldness with compassion. Please keep protecting your energy while you are teaching us manifestation and teaching us how to live intentionally. I am sending so much gratitude to you and the entire Lua Nova team. I'm forever grateful, Marcus." All right, Marcus. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. And there's a little note from Santi that says, "I did edit this one." I guess it might have been longer, Marcus. So if you're wondering why, it's because he did edit that for you. But, thank you to Kiki and thank you to Marcus for your letters. I typically, like I said, when it comes to the 6th house Virgo, that's when you're sending in questions about your own life. And like I said, that's going to be something that we're going to be moving to season 4. The 6th house Virgo will be back. It's just not something that I do often because as you can see, it can take up quite a bit of time in the show. So to answer your question, Marcus, there's not a lot I can share since you were honest with me and you admit it. You are not related to Celeste. So if you are not familiar with the case involving the singer, I keep calling him an R&B singer, but he's a singer. He actually goes across many genres. And that's not me praising him. That's just so if you look up this information, you can find it. But the singer David, and he spells his name D4 VD. He has been at the center of a case, and I hate that he's at the center of it because he's not the victim. He may have allegedly had a inappropriate relationship with a child. Her name was Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and unfortunately, she was found dead in his trunk. So it is the front trunk of a Tesla. I'm not familiar with Teslas like that, but I know that apparently they have 2 trunks, right? If I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, there's not too much more I can say about that part of it because that's very dark. But that's what Marcus is asking me about. Is there anything I can share? Because he can tell, which likely if I'm pausing a lot, that's because yes, I'm getting spiritual downloads or I'm trying to police what I say because this isn't the family that's asking me. This is, a stranger, or because I am knowing that I'm broadcasting this to a ton of strangers that can come across this. And so yes, I am careful. And and unfortunately I have come across quite a few fakes who are just saying that they're talking to Celeste, her spirit, and other, people that have been in the news as victims, unfortunately. And to be honest, I know that most of them are full of it. I do. Because a real reader and a person with real spiritual gifts understands that comes with a great amount of, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? It comes with a great amount of, not rules, so to speak, but I guess codes, almost like Luanova codes. Like there's just it's a code of ethics, so to speak, of real readers and real psychics, real clairaudience, et cetera, real mystics. And when you honor your gift, it keeps giving back to you. It keeps growing stronger. Now, to give you an example, the young lady, Kata Scott, may she rest in peace, when her family, one of which is clairvoyant, talked about her case, well, that is her own aunt that was talking about the case. And she was doing so to help the case. It was obvious that she knew what she was talking about. It was obvious that this was still difficult for her, even though this was her own family. And that's kind of an example, and you can look this up, I believe, on TikTok, of what I'm referring to. That's an example of using my gift to help. Me, on the other hand, me telling you what I can pick up on from Celeste, it's not helping anybody. It's helping people learn more about the case. But unless you are, LAPD or the private investigator that's working on this, or you are her family, then you are just somebody who knows about the case just like I do. So you're not actually helping. I understand wanting to know more, but it's actually not our business. Now in my opinion, the singer David made it our business, but I do think it's super disrespectful. So this is going to be the last time that I talk about this case unless something major happens. But Marcus, you didn't do anything wrong by asking. The only thing that I can tell you that I am willing to share is that she is an active spirit that, unlike a lot of spirits, has a lot to say, but she is extremely guarded as well. She was guarded in life and she's guarded now. And imagine, and many of you can relate to this, if you've had a life of trauma, how guarded we are and how our spirit is not going to suddenly not be guarded just because we're not in our human form anymore. And if she does choose to say something to us, it is certain types of people that she will say something to. It's those of us who she knows she can actually trust, because she couldn't trust a lot of people to begin with. And so because I value the trust of her spirit, and I value that she deserves justice, I am just going to say to you, she is not at rest. Her body is at rest, but she is not at rest. And so I will not be letting up on David at all, or his energy. Not at all. Not going to. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because if you think that I don't know better, and that people like me don't know better, oh, we're just getting started, friend. We are just getting started. Huh. So that's all I can say about that, Marcus. But yes, new moons. If you would like to submit questions like these that may or may not be read in the future, you can do so by going to luanovapodcast.net. Reach out to the team. They do send in things like this to me because they know it's important for the show. They know that many of you wanted my feedback. So there you go. There's my feedback. Thank you again to Kiki for the Cash App. Thank you to Renee. Thank you to Theo. Theo, again, you are nice. And thank you to Bianca, Omar, and how do you say this? P. We're going to call you PJ. Okay. Thank you to PJ for the Cash App and Venmo donations. I appreciate you. If you're looking for that information, it's in the show notes. By the way, if you haven't read the disclaimer and you are new to the show, be sure to read the entire disclaimer on the luanovapodcast.net website. Again, I don't say it very much anymore because I don't have to. This is an anti-Donald Trump podcast. Duh. Of course it is. And let's see, what else do I need to get to before I get to your collective reading? I think I covered everything, new moons. So, one sec.
Lua Nova Collective Tarot Reading. Leitura coletiva de tarô Lua Nova.
You know the vibes. Let's talk about the pink unicorn in the room, which means if you don't consent to having your tarot cards read, it is time for you to go. And I will talk to you next week. For the rest of my new moons, let's see what your message is this week. And for my Spanish-speaking new moons, it said, hey, your segments, we love them. We love the opening segments that you added in. However, how come none of them, you only introduced them in English and Portuguese? What about Spanish? Well, you're right. They are going to be redone. Well, one of them is, because one of them, it doesn't make sense. It needs to be as short as possible. The Lua Nova Codes intro needs to be pretty short. The collective reading one, I do actually think I want to go ahead and redo that and make sure it's in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And Court of the New Moon, I can tell you that I can't remember if it's one of the intros or one of the parts of the show will be in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. I am not sure what part of it yet. And if you're not familiar with Court of the New Moon, that is the new upcoming spin-off podcast of Lua Nova. I talked about it in depth. Go to the episode called Introducing Court of the New Moon so that you can get more information about it. Okay. So let's see what your reading is this week. Spirit, thank you so much for your help. Appreciate you. Oh, who is this? Okay. Who is this? Thinking that they can tell us what to do. That is already what I'm picking up on. Quit it right now. Oh, but of course, there's your energy saying, I got this. Oh, and this one flew out. You know what that means? Why did it fly out right there? You know what? That means because it's supposed to go first. All right, Spirit, let's leave it right there. Sorry if that was super loud. I was putting my deck back together. So, starting off with the Eight of Cups. I know, guys. I know right now you just want to escape. I hope that my show is helping you with that a little bit. I want you to escape, but then jump back in. I know on social media you are hearing this term over and over and over and over again. Lock in. That's the method of time that we are in right now. And the reason why I think it's become so popular to say lock in is because there are so many distractions going on. Negative distractions. And see, the more you feed into the negative distractions, the more your energy is being used to help those negative distractions grow bigger and bigger and bigger until you are just miserable and unable to get out of bed. I am not saying to tune out the world and act like everything is just unicorns and rainbows. Make your world unicorns and rainbows, yes. Be aware, but don't be in it. Okay? I need you to stay there. And I'm aware, but I'm not in it. So if you all want to, ruin your life and your day, that's you saying to other people, then go for it. But I'm going to be over here focusing on what I can change, focusing on what I can fix, and not things that just depress me and bring me down and draw my energy down or make me angry, because that then makes it very difficult to have a happy life, right? And as I've said many times before, you were not put here to suffer. And so this 8 of Cups energy is very much so temporary. This is not something that you're going to be hanging on to. As you can see in the 8 of Cups, he's already walking away. And yes, he's in deep thought here because he doesn't understand that 8 of Cups, that's all about what you do have. That's about what you do need to focus on. Consider that 8 of Cups this kind of almost like a warning. Don't forget about everything that is going right in your life. What would happen if you focused on that? And so, moving on to the Emperor. There is always going to be somebody who thinks that they know better than you do. And that's the Emperor. The Emperor sometimes is a little much. I'll be honest with you. He's not one of my faves. He's not. I always love his energy. But it's because oftentimes when he pops up in a reading, that tells me that there is somebody in your life, or you, that is kind of not trusting the decisions that are being made. So it's either you don't trust the decisions that you're making in your life, and I immediately saw a couple holding hands. So that tells me that that's related to the relationship you're in, or the relationships you want to be in, or there's somebody around you who seems to always have something to say. I pick up on this nitpicky, yeah, but you need to do it this way kind of energy. And no, you don't. You need to do it your way. Definitely when it comes to relationships, you're the one in the relationship, or you're the one who wants to be in the relationship. Therefore, yes, I need you to heal first, but I also need you to focus on what it is that you want. What's best for you, not, well, my uncle over here, since this is the Emperor, seems to think that I need to date this type of a girl because back in 1975, that's what he did. Yeah, well, you know what? It's 2025. So I want you to focus on what would be best for you. And if right now it's not the best thing for you to date at all, because it's definitely what I'm feeling for some of you, Capricorn, definitely. I think it's time for you to focus on what it is you do want. Capricorn, the reason why I picked up on that you immediately is that I'm seeing that there's quite a few Capricorns. First of all, there's a lot of earth signs that listen to my show, but there's quite a few Capricorns that oftentimes get lost when they do finally get in relationships. And I don't want you to lose yourself. I don't know what the connection is there. I think it's because Capricorns are commonly very structured, that if something throws them off, it's almost like it's difficult for them to get back. And as a Virgo, I can say I think that we can be the same way and, similar. But you've got to remember who you are. This Emperor energy, oftentimes people would say, well, the Emperor, that is also Capricorn. No, that's more Aries. That's Aries energy, not Capricorn energy. And see, Aries is the leader for a reason. But are they always right? I want you to think about an unevolved Aries. What is something that they're known for? Anger issues. They got anger issues that they need to work on. And an unevolved Aries is going to try to force everybody to do things this way because, well, I'm the leader and I know best. But you don't. You don't know what's best for everybody else because you don't even know what's best for yourself. And I'm not calling out all Aries. I'm calling out the unhealed ones, okay? And I want you to rely on that inner voice. The inner voice, who is that? That's right. That's right, class. That is Source, your guardian angels, ancestors, because they are not demonic. It could be Jesus if that's a deity that you work with. It could be Oshun. All of that is an energy that you do need to focus on. That inner voice is also you, because you do know what's best for you. I said before at some point in this season that I wanted you to start relying a lot more on your intuition. More on that in a second, on how we're going to be building that intuition. But I need you to listen to that voice that tells you this is really not what's best for me right now. And I do see a relationship upcoming. I heard June. Hold on. June 11th. Go to, is this the same day, Spirit? Go, June 11th. I see grass. I see is this a golf? It looks like a golf course. What is this? It's a park? Well, I'm not sure where everybody lives, but on June 11th, some of you need to go to somewhere that is has bright green grass. That's what I'm seeing. It reminds me of a golf course. Okay. So keep that in mind. And that's all Spirit said. And what? The divine masculine wants you to do. I want you to listen. No, sorry. The divine masculine wants you to do. I want you to feel. That's what you're saying? I want you to feel. Okay. Love that. Well, yes, when you manifest, you got to feel, right? Thank you, Spirit. Spirit's very active today, but all right. And for those of you who are wearing yellow, you're out. No, I'm kidding. For those of you who are wearing yellow, I want you to do me a favor. Do me a big favor. I want you to go outside and just take a deep breath in. You don't have to be out there for a long time. If you're like, Josie, it's raining. Josie, it's cold outside. I didn't say stay out there 10 minutes. I said, go outside. Take a deep breath in, because you need a moment. And for whatever reason, I immediately saw yellow. I was like, oh, somebody wearing yellow, they need to go outside. You haven't been outside in a while, have you? I get it. I force myself to go outside. I get it. Unless I have to go somewhere. So we are ending this reading with the Fool. And so what is the Fool? Why is the Fool so significant in tarot? Because it begins tarot. Because it's oftentimes about this new outlook or a new journey or looking at your spiritual awakening from a new point of view, because you are about to go through another spiritual awakening. And before you groan and before you roll your eyes, before you're like, oh my God, I'm cutting off this podcast, I don't want to hear that. It's necessary. It's necessary because you don't think small. You think very big. You don't want just a farm. You want a whole ranch with beautiful cows and all of the above. You don't want just a clean kitchen. You want a massive kitchen that looks like it belongs in some kind of a magazine. That's what you want. And that's okay. You don't want to just own a business. You want to be this giant business owning CEO. And that's okay. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you got to think small. Well, be humble. Who said that wasn't humble? Knowing who you are and what you are capable of, and that you are that girl or that guy or that person, does not mean that you're not humble. It means you know who you are. And so this Fool ending being at the end of this reading, what I'm picking up on is that there is this need for you to just trust what the universe keeps trying to tell you in the 444, in the messages that you're getting whenever you're listening to certain music that just randomly seems to come on. None of that's random. None of that's by coincidence. In the random message that you just got from a person at the gas station, that is not random. None of it is. So be open to all of these little cues and clues that the universe keeps trying to give you to help you. Okay? Because you are about to go through another spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakenings, I've never heard of a fun spiritual awakening. I really haven't. It's not to say that maybe somebody doesn't agree with me. I never heard of it. From what I understand, spiritual awakenings can be quite painful. When Josie passed away, for example, that was another spiritual awakening for me. And it hasn't been fun. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't really enjoyed most of it, but I am enjoying being in this new environment. I am enjoying the new era of Lua Nova. And so sometimes these things are necessary in order for you to move forward. And to close out this reading, I'm going to give you an example of a reading that I recently did. I'm going to be careful because when it comes to my clients, I don't just give away everything. So this person had a significant other in their past. And when things ended, it's because this person wanted things to end. And they never said everything they wanted to say. For instance, they left this relationship not because they weren't in love, but because they knew that they had a spiritual journey that they had to go on their own. I've been there. That's actually, that explains a lot about my marriage. If you're new to my show, when I was younger, I was married. And many would say, why on earth were you married? You were a child. But, you make decisions that you look back on and you don't understand that version of yourself, and that's okay. And so, because I can relate to that, I had to explain to this client, we can't take everybody with us. Some people are a particular chapter. And when that chapter ends, it is difficult. But in order to be the Fool in tarot, which you are, and that's not a disrespectful thing, that's actually a great thing to be when it comes to life. You want to have the energy of the Fool card. In order to be that, though, everybody can't go with you. If you look at this card, he looks ready. Some people say this is a she. It doesn't really matter their gender. I'm just saying he. And there is a very happy dog next to him in this card. But he's ready for whatever is coming his way. And whenever I see the happy dog, I oftentimes think of those of us who love animals and how they tend to, horses, gerbils, etc., how their energy makes everything better. It raises the vibration of wherever they're at. Think about when you were a kid and you went to the zoo, how excited you were to be around all these animals, because animals automatically have a higher frequency. And so whenever I see the Fool card, I oftentimes pay attention to the dog. And that this is a joyful time. It doesn't feel like it at first because spiritual awakenings are painful. They are gut-wrenching oftentimes, but they are necessary. And so I'm going to tell you, like I told my client, you can't take everything with you. Some things do have to be left behind. Sometimes there's people that have to be left behind. Not because you don't love them, not because you even wanted to leave, but because they have made it clear, as brutal as this is about to sound, that they're not ready. So if they're not ready, then, and you keep trying to include them in your life, then now you're going to stay exactly where you always were. And maybe that's all the emperor was trying to do, is kind of tell you that, but they go about it the wrong way. So I don't recommend listening to the naysayers that say you can't do something or you need to do it this way. What I do recommend is being more like the Fool and being open to all that the universe keeps trying to tell you. And the universe keeps trying to tell you it's time for you to go on this new journey. It is time for you to open this new chapter. And no, everybody can't come with you. Everybody is not up to par yet. They haven't learned their lessons. They haven't healed. You can't bring them with you. Okay? You can bring your little dog though. All right, new moons. Oh, we got a text from Spirit. And this week's text from Spirit says 1414 possibilities. Building strong foundations creates stability and welcomes in possibilities. All possibilities exist and are amplified when gratitude is felt for the foundations that are already in place. And the affirmation says, I am grateful for all that is and all that will be. I trust in the possibilities of what I desire or something greater. But I got that new moons for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. Remember, if you want to book a personal tarot reading with me next year, yes, I am all booked up for 2025 already. If you want to send in feedback the same way that Kiki and Marcus did today, if you need any information regarding the new podcast, Court of the New Moon, or any other information regarding Lua Nova, go to luanovapodcast.net, courtofthenewmoon.com, and always check the show notes because that's where all of this information will be for you. And then, of course, you always hear that little insert. It has been updated slightly for everybody, but I will talk to you next week, New Moons. Oh, OMG, I almost forgot the most important thing that I've been meaning to discuss with you. So hold off really quickly. I need you to pick between these three options, and they're not going to be in the show notes because I want you to think about it. I want you to really think about it. I want you to concentrate on it, lock it in. And next week, I'm going to tell you what that option will mean for you. Think about it. If you had to choose between these three crystals, which one would you choose? Obsidian, rose quartz, or amethyst? Again, that is obsidian, rose quartz, or amethyst. And these are just the regular versions of these crystals. Obsidian, rose quartz, or amethyst. Think about your choice before you pick one. Now, I know one's going to pop in your mind immediately. I'm not going to tell you my choice anytime soon, but pick your option because I will tell you more about that next week. All right, New Moons, have a safe rest of your week. Hug your loved ones tight. Please do. Show them all kinds of love and gratitude, and do something nice for somebody. Do something nice for yourself. Have a safe rest of your week, and I will talk to you next week, New Moons. Ciao. To book a personal tarot reading with me, submit your question for the 6th House Virgo segment, and your question just might be read right here on the show, or read the full disclaimer on spiritual consent and listener responsibility. Visit luanovapodcast.net. To submit a case for Court of the New Moon, go to courtofthenewmoon.com. If you would like to become a Patreon member, download the Patreon app or go to patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. Support is also appreciated, so I want to thank you for those of you who always send in donations, and you can do so via Venmo or Cash App. The Venmo username is @LuaNova. The Cash App username is $LuaNova Podcast. Copyright 2025 Lua Nova. All rights reserved.